Dance is the music made visible. And the music is just waves of emotions. And the wave of the emotion is in the maqam, because each maqam exudes a specific emotion. So if you are not paying attention to what the maqam is saying, you could be dancing in a way that's completely off, completely out of tune.
Hey there, fabulous dancer, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I am so excited to share with you an interview that I recently did with the amazing Maya Youssef, who is the world's leading qanun and maqam mentor. I recently ran across Maya and her educational content online, and I absolutely fell in love with her methodology of teaching maqam, making it really easy for anyone, even if you don't have a musical background, to understand the importance of maqam, how it works, and how it is an integral part of Arab music. Maya has really made it super accessible for dancers and other people to dive in, understand the importance, understand why it works. And then for belly dancers in particular, this is a game changer for our dance, as the maqam is the underlying emotion and structure of all the music that we dance to. So join me for this interview. You'll learn a bit about Maya's background, and you'll learn a lot about her revolutionary methodology for teaching maqam to dancers. So I won't keep you waiting any longer. Let's dive in and meet Maya Youssef. Well, thank you so much, Maya. I am so excited to have the opportunity to talk to you here today, kind of geek out about music and pick your brain. I've been listening to your educational content and watching you now online, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I wanted to dive in just in case people haven't met you yet, because you haven't done. I think you do a lot in the music community, obviously with qanun and teaching musicians, and I love that you are bringing this information to the dancer platform, specifically to people studying Arabic dance, Middle Eastern dance. And so I would love if you would introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are, and then maybe I would also love to hear a bit of your origin story. Like, when did you start playing qanun? I know you've been doing it for quite some time, and how did that lead you to this sort of teacher mentor position that you're in now?
Sure, Amin. I'm a lady of multiple hats, and I embrace it all. So I am a virtuoso master performer. I'm a composer, and I'm also the world leading Maqam Taqsim mentor. And I help Arabic music enthusiasts, musicians, and recently dancers crack the Maqam Taqsim code so they can recognize Maqam by ear, understand how Taqsim works, and if it's their jam, understanding how it's structured and how to even play it. So I'm Syrian British, for some people who find it interesting that I actually grew up and spent most of my life in Syria, in Damascus, which is where this love story started with this gorgeous instrument. So I grew up in a house full of books and music. These were the two main components of the house, and I was like tapping and singing all the time. So just to channel that energy, my parents put me in a music conservatoire for kids at the time, and then there came the moment where you're supposed to pick up one instrument, and it was like there was a lot of heated debate about what instrument I'm supposed to pick, and then after much deliberation, my parents were like, okay, violin, go for violin. And so I took a couple of classes of violin, and I wasn't very keen. And so one day, little 8-year-old me was in the backseat of a taxi heading towards the conservatoire with my mother, and the taxi driver turned on the radio, and something like this plays. And I was like, oh, what is this? This is the instrument I want to play. And the taxi driver laughed. I laughed that I still remember it today. And he was like, oh, you are a girl. This instrument is for men. It's called the qanun, but forget about it. And I was like, I couldn't believe him. I was so angry with him. I was like, I'll play it, you will see. And of course, my mom shrugged her shoulder. She was reading her book in the corridor. I walked into the, the class, and fate decided that that very night, the head of institute walks into my very classroom to announce the opening of a qanun class. And so I ran and and I signed up, and my mom was like, "What did you just do?" I'm like, "I signed up for a qanun class." I was like, "Okay." So they returned that violin, and then within 2 days I had a qanun 5 times my size waiting for me on the kitchen table. I was like this, trying to reach the higher octaves. And yeah, it has been my companion ever since. It has been over, I lost count, but probably over 36 years.
That's beautiful. So your parents were instantly supportive of you switching to qanun.
Yeah, my parents are amazing. I won't be here without them. So yeah, absolutely.
And I was curious because I didn't know if they made qanun in child sizes.
No. So I had to have like 5 pillows in order to reach my high octaves. My feet were dangling. It was a bit funny. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you instantly fell in love, and you enjoyed playing. Your practice was something you looked forward to.
I mean, look, it wasn't all flowers and roses. There has been many moments of like, oh my gosh, this is too hard. I just don't want to do it anymore. Particularly in the moments when I spent a lot of, most of my life really, many years of my life rather, studying and dedicating my life to this art. And then I figured out that I have no clue how to play Taqsim. And that was particularly when I was in the second year of being a student at the High Conservatoire of Music and Dramatic Arts in Damascus, which is, one of the most prestigious places to study music in the Arab world. And it just hit me because everybody's like, Maya, you're supposed to learn how to play Taqsim. You're supposed to know it. And if you don't know it, you're not a musician. And I was like, I don't know how to do it. And even though I was in a conservatoire, even though I asked everyone, even though I believe I was gifted, because everybody was telling me, Maya, you're gifted. And so I pretended that I knew what I was doing until one pinnacle moment, that happened, in which I was supposed to play a concert in Aleppo. And now, for those of you who don't know, Aleppo is a very important center of Arabic music because it's home to a very important group of gatekeepers of Arabic music called as-Sami'a. Sami'a translates as those who listen. And it's a group of connoisseurs who basically at the time, like for instance, at the time of the golden age of Arabic music, when Kulthum was, breaking through into like, international and the Arab world rather, or Abdul Wahab, or all these giants, they needed to go through the rite of passage of performing for the Sami'a. It was a big deal. And the press would wait to see, did the Sami'a approve of this person? If not, then they will be basically kind of like, they will not break through into the next stage of, their stardom. It's only when they have the seal of approval of the Sami'a that, they would kind of, the Arab world will open up for them. So and so it was kind of like a test, and so I was terrified. I knew about this Sami'a, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so this is not. I need to really, really, really do my best here. And so terrified, with shaky legs, I played Taqsim Rast, and I received applause on Allah. Allah is like ole, it's like when somebody is like, is giving you the seal of approval. If you receive Allah, that's it. You're good. If you don't, there's something really missing. So, and then I met with this gentleman who, after the concert, who was like, started talking to me, and because he was naming every maqam switch I was doing, I assumed he was a musician. I assumed that he was a professional musician, but he happens to be an illiterate gardener. And and yet he could recognize everything. And then I was like, wait a second, this is an accident. I refuse to believe this is the case. So I just go in and then into a cafe with my friends, and of course in Aleppo, everywhere is playing music at the time, and so we were eating, grabbing a bite. There was music playing. There was Kulthum playing, and there was a guy, an old man, sweeping the streets outside, singing with Kulthum, while naming every switch she was doing. And I was like, okay, Maya, moment of truth. The books, the conservatoires, whatever you're doing is not working, and you need to humble yourself and go learn from what these people are doing. And that was the pinnacle of creating what I call the organic method of learning maqam, and my methodology to learn maqam through embodying it versus reading it in a book and thinking, it's like everybody is engaged with maqam. It's like this amazing painting, and you're looking at it from behind a glass, admiring it, but you can't touch it, you can't feel it. This is everybody's relationship with maqam, not just dancers, by the way. And so this is how my method, was created. So yeah, that's the story.
This is fascinating to me. So these people who had just listened to music, were not musicians, did not grow up studying them. They knew the names of the maqam, and they could identify when the music was switching from to another. So it's almost like, it makes me think a little bit, and I don't know if this is a good one-to-one comparison, like learning a language by just getting immersed in it versus taking a class and learning verb translations and those sorts of things. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. There is definitely a synergy between that. But the problem with Arabic music, or particularly with maqam, is that it became purely theoretical. It's for those who want to go read books. It's for those musicians who have a genius genome that everybody else does not have. It became an elitist thing, unfortunately, whereby if you're singing, by the way, just breaking news, every single piece of music that you've ever danced to and you will ever dance to is made out of maqam.
Right. Yeah, we're surrounded by it. We're constantly listening to
it all the time.
And so is it just about developing your ear to hear it? Because
yes, absolutely. This is part of that. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like any process of learning, in my methodology, you start with intellectual understanding. So, for instance, I just go like, okay, so if we are going to get to know, I teach maqam, by the way, with Lego, because I like to play and I like to have a visual representation. For instance, so I just was teaching my academy, so there you go, I happen to have this in front of me. So this guy, Nahawand, so what gives it its identity is that the third note is a 5-note building block, yeah? And what gives it its identity is the interval, or the musical step. You don't need to complicate things, so it's just a musical step. You can take a large musical step, or you can take a small musical step. And by the way, you don't need to translate that in your dance. Just have a broad understanding of that. So this is how Nahawand sounds like. Yeah, so it's defined by the step of having the third note lowered, and then you can have the exact same notes, number of notes. These are the exact same notes with a different interval, and you can go into a different building block. So Rast has a quarter tone in the third note. Don't worry if you can hear the difference. It's a process. So first of all, we start with understanding what is what. How does it work? Because maqam is the alphabet of Arabic music.
Okay, and this is good. That's what I was going to ask. Like for people who are like, wait, but maqam what?
Right. So maqam, it's the alphabet of Arabic music. Yeah. Yeah. And did you see those building blocks? There are 9 of them that create 99% of the Arabic music. So you can think of them as the letters, kind of.
Mhm.
They're not 360. There are 9 letters that create 9 maqamat used in Arabic music today. Yeah. So, so it's just everything you listen to is made out of maqam. Think of it as the alphabet. It's a language. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you get to start with these main the heart of Arabic music, which are these 9 main maqam building blocks, and then the same 9 are creating combinations of the 9 main maqamat that you use in Arabic music today. Maqamat is plural of maqam, by the way. I don't like to say maqams. So maqamat is the plural. So yeah, it's very simple, you know. Everybody is kind of like, oh my gosh, there are 360 maqamat. Run! No! 9, only 9. You know, it's quite a simple, quite fun, quite intuitive process if you approach it the right way.
Right. And what I love with your approach, because I've been watching a lot of your content online, is that you don't have to have a musical background. You don't have to have played
No.
an instrument. You don't have to have studied music theory, because I think when the word maqam is uttered, a lot of dancers are like, you know,
Yeah.
this is beyond my pay grade. I don't understand how this works. This is something that is too cerebral, too heady. I just want to dance. Right.
Yeah.
So I think like what it comes down to, like, I think the nugget that people really need to understand, and I would love to have your take on this, is why is it so important that we understand maqam, i.e. like what people will want to know is like, well, what is this going to do for, you know, for me and my dance and my understanding of what I am doing when I am moving?
It's a very important question. And this is a question every single dancer on the planet needs to be asking. Unfortunately, dancers brush maqam as, you know, as something that, you know, unimportant, or perhaps it's too difficult to handle, and therefore they can't understand it, so they brush it to the side. But maqam is very important for the following reasons. First of all, dance is the music made visible. And the music is just waves of emotions. And the wave of the emotion is in the maqam, because each maqam exudes a specific emotion. So if you are not paying attention to what the maqam is saying, you could be dancing in a way that's completely off, completely out of tune, you know? Everybody pays attention to the drum of the beat, you know, the biggest slap of the drum, or to lyrics. Now, rhythm is important, obviously, and gives you indicators of understanding Arabic music. I'm not saying this part is more important. You need to have a holistic understanding of the entirety of Arabic music. But the emotion is in the maqam, you know? And also, I see dancers just relying. So the 2 things that dancers rely on rather, is the rhythm and lyrics. Oh yeah, if I know the lyrics, then I'll have an understanding of whether this is a happy song or a sad song, and then I can translate that. But you are missing the plot big time. Reason being, Arabic music, or Arabic language rather, is very symbolic. So for instance, if you're trying to translate poetry or Sufi poetry, you know, you're dealing with multiple layers of meaning. And so if you're just going for the surface level, of course, you know, you're going to miss the plot, you know? So, and also, you know, the task of, like, if you ask me, and I have had lengthy discussions with dancers about this, which one is easier, maqam or the language, or learning the language? Maqam. Anytime, any time of the day. So you're kind of like wasting your time on the wrong things. I'll give you an example. There is a section in an Kulthum song in which she's singing these words. She's singing variations on these words. حطيت على القلب إيدي وأنا بودع وحيدي اسعفيني يا عين. which translates as, and by the way, I'm an Arabic language geek. I put my hand on my heart while I'm saying goodbye to my lonely child. I come to my rescue. Okay? What does this mean? This means it's a sad song, huh? So she is starting with this maqam, which is called Saba. Saba is has multiple facets, but in its most common facet, it's extremely sad. It's it's grief, you know. But then she says the same words in a different maqam, which is bayati. She's continuing to sing the same words, which is in bayati. So the words are saying something, and the maqam emotion is saying something, because bayati's emotion is light-hearted. It's even joyful. So which one do you listen to? Lyrics? Maqam. Maqam. Any day of the week.
Yeah.
So you guys everybody is missing the plot if they're not paying attention to the maqam. Last reason why it's very, very important to pay attention to maqam is everybody is making musical decisions every single day. Dancers are making musical decisions every day without having a clue about how Arabic music works. For instance, you enter a competition. You have 3.5 minutes. So what do? You cut music. You're gonna go and cut the wrong part of the music. You know, you need to understand what are the parts in which because there are big, there are peaks that happen in the music. These are emotional arcs that happen in the music. So you could be just picking the part that is devoid of that, or picking kind of like the tail and an important part. And so it's very important to learn how to listen. Because you're making these decisions every single day without understanding the music based on lyrics or based on the biggest slap of the drum, whereby you need to listen to the maqam. So yeah, that's why.
No, I mean, if there's nothing more convincing than all of those reasons, I think. And I love that you talked about the intricacies and the nuance of Arabic language, because so often that's where we go first, right? We get a translation of the song. Maybe it's a full translation, maybe it's a rough translation, but I've always known that is just like the surface level words, and there's so much cultural subtext beneath that, right? And a non-native speaker to learn the language and the cultural subcontext, that's like a lifelong long study, right? But I love that if I have to learn all of this or 9 maqamat, right? It's so much easier to understand that the maqam and understand the history or the feeling behind that. And this is something interesting to hear you say, because I've heard people go back and forth about the idea of maqam being tied to an emotion. And so you said that there is some of that, is that something that people can learn, like this maqam feels this way, or is there enough variability in that it's merely a guideline? I've heard some people say, yes, it is tied. I've heard some people say, no, it's not. What's your take on that?
Beautiful. So after, of course, everything that I have created is based on how the music works on the ground, okay? So when I created this methodology, I decided to take Abu Nasr Farabi. By the way, for those of you who don't know who Abu Nasr Farabi is, he is the most important musicologist in the history of Arabic music. He wrote a book called Al-Musiq al-Kabir, The Great Musician, which is until today considered to be the book on music theory. So he gave us musicians with a piece of advice that is still relevant to today. Music, or practical application of music, is what informs theory, not the other way around. Okay, so when you listen to the music, then when you try to empty your head of the theory, you're gonna find that one maqam can exude multiple emotions. Okay, it depends how you phrase it, because for me, maqam is like the role play. I can basically mold it to communicate different things. As a composer, I do that all the time. As an improviser, I do that all the time. Now, some maqamat are less malleable. So, you know, they they're kind of like for instance Sabah. Sabah is it's some people, it can groove, like for instance if you put it in an upbeat song, it can be really fun, and there's a lot of shabi songs that dancers dance to that are in Sabah. So it's kind of like this, but it's this dark groove that it will never be happy, that will be also tinged with sadness. It's kind of like you are laughing and crying at the same time kind of thing. So yeah, so it just, each maqam has multiple facets. And so it's very important to not fall for the advice, which I see a lot, that this maqam is this, it's fixed, and this maqam is that, and it's fixed. Mm-hmm. It kind of like, it doesn't do justice to the level of richness and intricacy of Arabic music at all,
No, I love this. I think that it makes it understandable and relatable, and I think a lot less intimidating, because I think a lot of dancers are intimidated by what they consider to be theory behind the music that they're dancing to. And so this makes it like, it's not theory, it's just, this is the building block of what it is that we're moving to. And if we are the physical representation of the music, we absolutely have to understand what the music is saying, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I love this. I love this. So this is what you do inside. You have a program that's Maqam for dancers. And I know you've been teaching qanun and you've been teaching music for many years, teaching maqam to dancers. What do you feel is like the biggest misunderstanding, or people coming into your program feeling like maybe they're not able to do this? What is the biggest misunderstanding about maqam that dancers tend to have?
I mean, first of all, I see a lot of people are just feeling completely blocked with maqam. It's like, oh, this is not for me, thank you very much, bye-bye, So, but what do you dance to? Do you dance to silence? Do you dance to music? So it's just opening up to a new way of engaging with this. This is a story that I told on another podcast that I'm going to say today. Like, there was a guy sat in a math class in a university in the States somewhere. He fell asleep. He woke up. And he found his formula on the board, and so there was 1 week until the next class. So he solved it, and when he brought it to the instructor was astonished, because he missed the part in which she said, while he was asleep, that this is an impossible formula that mathematicians have been working on solving for, 50, 60, 70 years. And because he missed the part in which he heard it's impossible, he solved it, And so I feel if people come to maqam with okay, this is just the music that I dance to, I don't feel scared when I listen to music, I'm gonna dance, So if you just approach it in the same way and just have an openness, all you need is a different approach, basically. It's a different, gradual approach that doesn't overwhelm you, that does not, need you to learn anything. You just need your ears. You don't need to learn Arabic. You don't need to know how to play an instrument. You don't need to have any clue about music theory. You have ears? Good. Then you're ready. So yeah, you just need a different approach. That's all.
Right. It's a mindset, right? We're just sort of programmed ourselves to think that this is going to be too complicated because what we've heard about it in the past.
Yeah.
Just general misunderstanding or not knowing, right? And so
absolutely.
This is brilliant. Yeah. You can listen to music, you can learn the maqam, and you can learn to integrate this into your knowledge of how you dance to it.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. So tell me a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of your program. So you have this Maqam for Dancers program. How long is it? What do people learn? How does that work?
Okay, I'm really excited for this program. I believe that it's going to be an absolute game changer for the dance community, because when I was talking to dancers, I was just really appalled by how surface levels, vague, and inaccurate information that has been available to dancers. So this is gonna be the program that is gonna enable you to understand how the music works on an intellectual level, and then we're gonna go in an embodiment, process where you can hear the music so you can dance to it authentically. Okay, so you understand what is going on, whether it's a composed piece of music, no matter the genre, whether it's sha'bi or classical or pop, it doesn't matter. Everything's made of maqam. You're gonna understand anything you listen to and translate it in a way that is authentic and powerful, and that is gonna, I believe, it's gonna unlock a very, very powerful layer of people's dance. Because when, same thing with my students who I teach taqsim, for instance, they feel like fraud in the beginning because they kind of like, okay, I'm playing, but I have no clue what I'm doing. But when they understand and when they're empowered, there is a confidence, and then there is they start to shine, and that's what I want for dancers. And the way it's gonna work, we're gonna meet these nine guys, and then we're gonna build the 9 main maqamat. So we're gonna learn on understanding and then embodying, lots of examples, practical examples. So and I don't like just theory. Okay, I apply everything in practice. So everything I say is going to be backed by an example. Lots of opportunities to ask me questions, and also we're going to go into taqsim. So understanding how taqsim works on each of the 9 maqamat. Because here's the thing, Arabic music is quirky. Because Arabic music is an oral tradition. Arabic music has not been transcribed, the repertoire of Arabic music has not been transcribed until early 20th century. Until then, it has been exclusively an oral tradition. And because of that, each maqam is different. Completely different. It's kind of like you're meeting a person, yeah? So like, if I'm not gonna assume that you are like your sister, and I'm not gonna assume that your mother is like your father. Each person is its own person. So we meet kind of each maqam as if we're meeting a new friend, and we're getting to become friends with them and understanding their behavior, because their behavior is going to be different, both in written music and in taqsim. And so eventually, whenever you're on stage, whether you're listening to a pre-written piece of music or in taqsim, you know exactly what's coming, and you meet the music with that beautiful confidence. So yeah, that's the intention of the program.
That's incredible. And what a game changer too, I think, for dancers who sometimes get on stage and feel a little intimidated when it is music that is unfamiliar to them. They don't know what's coming next, right? I think this is like one of the most challenging things for dancers who don't have a lot of experience dancing to live music, taqsim, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They get on stage and they're just like, you end up dancing to the voices in your head, is what I say. You were dancing to the voices in our head that are like, oh my God, what do I do next? What's happening now, right? And so this is brilliant. If we develop our ears to really like recognize these maqam, we can know what's happening and dance with confidence that is priceless, in my opinion, if you just really want to get up there and feel like you have an idea of what you're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly like in taqsim, because I spoke to a lot of dancers that they feel that they're freaking out, like, I have no idea when they're gonna, where is this going next? I have no idea when they're gonna end. For instance, I spoke to a dancer who was like, oh my gosh, I'm just watching for the part which he ends, because if I end after him, well, like the musician, I'm gonna look stupid. And so there are clues, there are very clear clues that anybody can listen for, that they're about to end, they're ramping up, so now I am ready. Instead of like, oh my gosh, you go like, okay, I know it's ending, and then you end with grace, versus all of that, internal turmoil kind of thing.
Right, less internal turmoil, please.
Yeah.
This is incredible. I love this, and it's really, I can tell how excited you are about it, and it makes me really excited about it, and honestly very hopeful too, for this like kind of a subject that I feel like's been shrouded in mystery. I've been dancing now
Mm.
for 25 years and I've gotten like lessons here and there on it. And I have a book that I have attempted to slog through unsuccessfully. And so I really am excited for people to be able to dive into just a more intuitive, sort of natural, like let's listen and become familiar, which is the way we become familiar with all music as children. You just listen and you become familiar with language, right? And I think that that's going to be a process that is much easier for people to retain and just much easier for people to approach as well. So thank you
My absolute pleasure. I'm really excited for it.
it's going to be incredible, absolutely incredible. So if someone is like, they've watched this and they're like, this is it, I'm in Maqam, I want to learn more, like what action could they take right now to maybe connect with you or to start to learn more, to start that journey before your program begins?
Sure. I mean, first of all, you can go to maqamquiz.com and get to know your musicality archetype and what is missing in your musicality. That is, I have received lots of great feedback about this quiz. And also you can go and download my free Maqam guide, which will give you a bit more of a nutty gritty kind of overview of my method and how it works. So I suppose we can leave both links in the description. So yeah.
Absolutely. I will definitely do that. Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience or let them know about before we wrap it up?
No, thank you so much. Listen, if you love dancing, if you love Arabic music, if you really feel that hunger to, to really understand the music, just give it a go. You have nothing to lose, and I know some of you are on tour, so you will have lifetime access. So come and join us, and if you have any questions, come and connect with me on Instagram and ask me questions. But thank you so much for having me. It has been a joy talking to you.
Yes, wonderful speaking with you, Maya. Thank you so much for making the time and sharing with us your experience and all about your program. I'm very excited to see where that goes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, folks, I don't know if your mind is blown, but my mind is blown. Like, as a musician and a dancer, I have always been aware of Maqam and I've studied a little bit here and there, but looking at it with Maya, listening to it with Maya, and understanding just how foundational it is to absolutely everything I have ever danced to, and how, even more importantly, it's really important to the understanding of the music that we are dancing to as belly dancers, I think is a real game changer. So if you are also mind blown like I am and would like to learn more about Maya, check out the links below so that you can get onto her website, onto her mailing list, check out some of her tutorials, and register for her Maqam for Dancers workshop. I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity to really dive deep with Maya and strengthen not only your ear and your understanding of music, but your ability as a dancer to interpret what it is that you're hearing. So check that out and then join me back here again. I cannot wait to share the dance floor with you soon.